WWE Counterprogramming AEW's biggest show of the year, my review of Monday Netflix Raw, and controversy over Sabu's retirement match that took place just weeks before his death. I'm Ollie Davis, and this is the WrestleTalk News.
Support WrestleTalk!
On Sunday the 11th of May, PW Insider first reported that ECW wrestling legend Sabu had passed away. Just several weeks prior, on WrestleMania weekend, Sabu had wrestled a retirement match at GCW's Joey Janela's Spring Break show on the 19th of April. Amidst the tributes that poured in for Sabu, Yahoo Sports' Uncrowned posted a column remembering him, which contained quotes from Joey Janela about that final match several days after it happened, so before Sabu's death. In the build-up to the show, Janela said he was in contact with Sabu and his team, where he was told Sabu was going to the gym on a training program and ready to go. But 2 hours before the show, he gets a call saying that Sabu can't walk. Apparently, it was something to do with his knees locking up, and his feet were bleeding. Janela said he was going to replace Sabu with indie wrestler Matt Tremont, which was about to be the most embarrassing moment of his wrestling career. As there were 2,000 people, one of the largest non-WWE crowds of Mania weekend, and he's going to have to announce that the reason the majority were there and no-showed his own retirement match. Janela continued. "We were an hour into the show and I said, just get Sabu here. So they gave him something called Kratom. You can buy it at a smoke shop or something. It's like a legal opiate or something. They said, he's hopping on the bed. He's hopping off the bed. And we're going to get him to the show." So he shows up 2 hours into the show. Sabu was on a different f***ing planet. Everyone in the backstage was like, what the f***? Is this match going to happen? And my God, did it happen? Controversially, even at the time before his death, Sabu, who was 60 years old, was whipped into a barbed wire board, where he flipped backwards out the ring. Janela described the moment in the interview days after the show. "He was definitely out cold. He was done. They were telling me there was no way. The refs were communicating to me that there's no way he's continuing this match." Apparently, Sabu woke back up at the sound of the Sandman's music hitting and wrestled the rest of the match. Those interview quotes from Janela were, of course, taken before Sabu's passing. Janela has since posted on Twitter to provide a different context. "I'm truly devastated over this, and this whole deal has really affected me. Kratom is something Sabu took daily for years. It helped him get off other substances. Sabu loved his weed and Kratom. His body was wrecked doing what he loved for 40 years. I did an interview for that article 2 days after the match, not knowing what would transpire weeks later, and I said he was knocked out after that spot, when despite being a rough deal, he was not that. I was just trying to add to the lore and unpredictability of Sabu. I love Sabu. He was legitimately my idol growing up, and my friend. I just wanted to give him and the fans one last great Sabu spectacle. Sabu was fine after, the day after signed at WrestleCon, and has been doing many appearances since. I don't know what the cause of death. All I can say is I wouldn't change a thing, and happy he went out on top." GCW's owner Brett Lauderdale, which was behind Sabu's retirement match show, has also posted on Twitter. "Any suggestion that I or GCW or Joey Janela forced him to do this match, supplied him with substances, or somehow caused his death is irresponsible, disingenuous, hurtful, and false. It's upsetting and discouraging to see people so eager to cast judgment without knowledge of the facts. I would never knowingly put someone who I believed was a danger to themselves or others in the ring, and my track record shows this to be true. I have pulled people in a public and painful manner from big matches before, sometimes literal moments before a match was to begin, and would do it again if I had to." Fightful Select have since added, "We're told that GCW was frustrated, embarrassed, and humiliated by the interview itself. Brett Lauderdale did speak to Joey Janela about the interview and situation, but we're not sure what came of it." What do you think about the ethics of Sabu's final match? Let me know in the comments. In far less serious wrestling news by comparison, WWE have looked at their incredibly packed PLE and special event calendar over the next few months and gone, hey, wait a second. None of these shows are counter-programmed against AEW. It was originally reported that WWE's all-women's PLE Evolution 2 took place on Saturday the 5th of June, weirdly the week after the Night of Champions show in Saudi Arabia, presumably as a tribute to the first Evolution, which was only done as a PR damage limitation because women weren't allowed to wrestle in Saudi Arabia back then. The forefront of change. But now PW Insider claims that Evolution 2 will take place the week after, on the 12th of July in Atlanta, which was when another Saturday Saturday night's main event was reportedly scheduled for. The Reddit user Kermit125, who has a good track record of inside scoops, has claimed Evolution 2 will actually take place on Sunday the 13th of July. Likely so Saturday night's main event can take place on, you know, a Saturday. This is very significant, as the 12th of July just so happens to be the date of AEW's biggest show of the year, their first pay-per-view in America in a stadium, all in Texas. AEW announced this date way back in August last year, and they had already moved the start time forward to 2 p.m. Central so it didn't clash with the Saturday night's main event. With WWE running yet another big event that same weekend, it'll further split the wrestling audience, hoping to harm AEW's attendance. Before I get into my Raw review, here's a trailer for our video game channel, Control Freaks. Go subscribe to it!
Die!
No! Not you!
Flashbang!
Ragtag!
Time for the professionals to come back. I'm Dom.
And
That's
I'm
Sully.
Yes.
Oh, jump forwards, run forwards! Pro strats. Thick as mints, those people. Is that you?
I think that's me!
Fungus McChungus. Oh no, so many people died. I used to be a traffic warden before I joined the armed forces. Look at me! Look at me! It looks like rain.
I just want to hit you once with a sledgehammer, you useless man!
How could you punch a man like that? Rubbish!
There was a box. No, I didn't say forward anymore! Yeah!
We've lost a quantum web again!
Oh, no! Flashbang!
After CM Punk saved Jey Uso in the main event of last week's Raw, he opened this episode with a promo, marking the first time we've heard him speak since WrestleMania. But he's not angriest with Seth Rollins, Paul Heyman, not even Tony Khan. No, he's angriest with himself. Heyman had turned on him before, and fool me twice, shame on me. And he's going to get his hands around his fat little neck, which is an oxymoron. Heyman's voice, which has almost become as impactful as Stone Cold's glass shatter, then came over the tannoy before he was backed up by Seth Rollins and Bron Breakker. Seth pointed out that Punk is gaslighting them. Punk betrayed Heyman by putting him in that impossible favor position. Where's the lie? But enough of Punk playing the victim. Bron is going to make that a reality. The babyface brigade of Sami Zayn and Jey Uso made the save with chairs, which set up Punk and Zayn versus Seth and Bron for Saturday night's main event. This was a really good opening segment, but speaking of gaslighting WWE, I can tell that's not Roman Reigns. He's ginger. Backlash and the opening 20 minutes of this Raw weren't just enjoyable for the in-ring wrestling and storytelling, it was also because Pat McAfee wasn't on commentary, but he joined Michael Cole from the first match onwards, dancing down to the ring and hopping and doing some more dancing, showing us his bruise on his neck. But Pat, that isn't selling. You got squashed by Gunther for 14 minutes. You should be in a wheelchair. Penta weirdly wanted revenge on Chad Gable when it was clearly El Grande Americano who cost him his IC title match at Backlash, and Penta won with a second rope Mexican destroyer, Bay Bay. Speaking of matches taking second place to commentary, the War Raiders then took on the Creed brothers with New Day as guest announcers. At least Kofi and Woods are very fun characters though, and every time I watch the Creeds wrestle, I love them even more. Julius hit an awesome deadlift suplex on the outside, Brutus managed an Olympic slam, the New Day interfered, getting a rare victory for American Made, but this tag division feels very unimportant right now. Jey Uso yeeted with an actual child in his arms to then cut a promo on his Saturday night's main event opponent, Logan Paul. But it's the World Heavyweight title match on the 9th of June episode of Raw we should all worry about, because it's been announced the winner at Saturday night will have to face Gunther again. I love Gunther. I enjoyed his McAfee squash match, but just putting him right back into a Jade program after a horridly overcooked 3-month Mania feud is very uninspiring. Thankfully, this isn't all Jay has creatively, as Seth also wants his World Heavyweight title. Rollins instructed Breakker to take him out backstage, which he did, cutting poor Ludwig Kaiser's interview that was specifically about his lack of TV time. Michael Cole remembered Sabu with a photo montage. Dominic Mysterio has added an odd new part to his character. Being profoundly dumb, he couldn't understand time zones, that where Liv Morgan is filming, it's morning. But here, at Raw, it's nighttime. You could dismiss it as harmless fun. Or you could say that it massively undermines the Judgment Day psychodrama, which, while yes, became uninteresting about a year ago, at least had the tension of who's outwitting who. Dom or Finn? Balor brushed aside his botched backlash interference to Dom and then promised him he'll sort out AJ Styles, which he didn't. He lost thanks to Penta wiping out Carlito and JD McDonough. But you could ask, isn't it interesting that Dom wasn't at ringside? Was that just Mysterio's way to make Balor look bad again? Is it him slowly chipping away at the perception of Finn within the Judgment Day to methodically turn all his friends against him? And then you remember, probably not, because Dom doesn't understand how the sun works. Becky Lynch cut a terrific in-ring promo, claiming that Lyra Valkyria actually lost at Backlash because she ended up in hospital while Becky went and had a nice warm shower on her tour bus. Lynch then did her own latest You People promo, where she said we don't like her anymore because she started winning, and that's when we couldn't see ourselves in her anymore, because we identify with losing. So okay, if you say I'm selfish, I'm selfish. You say I'm cutthroat, I'm cutthroat. I'm gonna be all the things you say I am, and now all the women in the locker room know exactly where they stand. And with 20 minutes left of the show, we got the main event tag match of Rhea Ripley and Io Sky versus Julia and Roxanne Perez. Perez and Julia worked really well as a team, hitting some slick tag sequences. I thought they were telling the story that they were a more coherent unit, whereas Rhea and Io, who had just been feuding through Mania, are more likely to self-combust. But turns out Rhea and Io beat them super easily, barely an inconvenience. It's all to build Ripley versus Sky over the Women's Championship, but it's a shame it came at the expense of Julia and Perez. I really believe you could have done an angle where Io and Rhea maybe accidentally collided, costing them the match, not just building more tension between them for the title bout, but also putting Perez and Julia over huge on the main roster with an actual victory. This Raw was 65%. Now go watch the brand new episode of me versus Luke in WWE 2K25's My GM mode with Monday Night War. Click the video on screen now to do that.